mynews.studio.
A treaty that took 20 years to negotiate now governs waters deeper than Mount Everest is tall. But the big question is, will it actually work?
Today is January 23rd, 2026. Just 6 days ago, the High Seas Treaty officially became international law. For anyone who hasn't followed this, it's the first time we have a comprehensive legal framework for the ocean areas beyond national borders. That covers about 2/3 of the world's oceans, now under new rules. But why did it take so many years to get here?
The main hurdle was what's called the governance gap. Basically, countries only have authority over waters up to 200 nautical miles from their coasts. Beyond that, it's been almost lawless. Industrial fishing, deep-sea mining, bioprospecting, these happened with barely any oversight. Isn't it striking that more than 90% of the planet's living space, by volume, had no real protection?
That's an enormous area, and science played a major role in pushing this forward, didn't it? Because marine ecosystems ignore borders. Tuna, whales, migratory species cross these invisible lines all the time. And the ocean isn't just about fish. It regulates climate, absorbs heat, produces oxygen, sequesters carbon. In a way, ocean health is tied to planetary stability.
Right. And that's why the treaty introduces 4 key mechanisms. First, it allows countries to create marine protected areas in international waters for the first time. That's essential for trying to protect 30% of the ocean by 2030.
The second mechanism deals with marine genetic resources. There's a lot of commercial interest, things like enzymes or genes that could be valuable for medicine or industry. The treaty says if you profit from these resources, you have to share the benefits, especially with developing nations.
Third, capacity building and technology transfer. Many low-income countries simply don't have the tools to monitor or manage these vast regions. The treaty now requires sharing knowledge and technology so everyone can participate. And the fourth part, environmental impact assessments. Any activity, deep-sea mining, marine carbon dioxide removal, for example, must now go through standardized, transparent assessments.
And there's something new here. The treaty explicitly includes indigenous peoples, local communities, and gender balance in its governance structures. That hasn't been done at this level before.
That brings us to enforcement. The treaty's strength depends entirely on how well it's put into practice. As of today, 81 countries have ratified it, so it's legally binding for them. But what happens with countries like Russia, who haven't signed yet?
Russia says it wants to preserve existing agreements and is concerned about freedom of navigation. Still, negotiators like Tanzania's Mzee Ali Haji remain hopeful more countries will come on board. The first conference of the parties, planned within a year, is where compliance and enforcement rules will be worked out. That's when we'll see how strong this treaty really is.
So, what does this mean now for industries like fishing or shipping? The treaty doesn't directly regulate fisheries, but it does set new environmental standards. It encourages ecosystem-based management. Shipping and extractive industries will face closer scrutiny, and for developing nations and small island states, it means more access to technology, to benefits, and to having a say in decisions.
And this is really about food security and economic opportunity too. Billions of people depend on the ocean for protein and their livelihoods. Sustainable management is about protecting both the environment and communities. Plus, those marine genetic resources we mentioned, there's real potential for new medicines or biotech with fair benefit sharing. The treaty is also a response to what's called the triple planetary crisis: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. Healthy oceans are essential. They absorb nearly 90% of the excess heat from greenhouse gases. But there are still big hurdles ahead. Implementation, getting more countries to join, actual enforcement, none of this is automatic. The next major step is March 2026, when countries will meet to set up the detailed rules and procedures for how the treaty will work in practice. So, is this the turning point, or just another agreement on paper? The first conference of the parties will reveal if countries are ready to turn commitments into action. On January 17, 2026, the world recognized that half the planet's surface most of its living space belongs to all of us and needs all of us to protect it.
Now it's up to every nation, every company, every community to decide if this treaty leads to real change or if it's just symbolic.
Thanks for joining us as we explored the High Seas Treaty, how it came about, what's changing, and why it matters.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. You can try it now for free.